Hey, it's Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And today this is primarily going to be an ISS Vanguard focused video. This is Monday, which usually means Kickstarter Roundup, but Kickstarter has been dead these past few weeks, this entire month really, and so it's another week where we're going to focus exclusively on something else, in this case, ISS Vanguard. And hopefully next week, well, hopefully is a relative term, perhaps next week we'll be back to our regular Kickstarter Roundup as things start to get more popular again, or as projects launch or whatever, but for this week it's primarily going to be around ISS Vanguard. And to that end, we're going to start with picking the giveaway winner. I gave away a pledge to ISS Vanguard, a base core pledge, which will be covered international coverage, shipping, and all of that. And anyone who commented on this video over here, which I put the whole, entry details and the other thing, and so basically over here, anyone who commented with the word busy is eligible. And to that end, we're going to go over here. I filtered that video, filtered that busy, and we're going to go ahead and start with whoever the winner is, and it is going to be Christian Lever. Oh my gosh. Okay, well that is amusing. See, I know Christian Lever, so this is actually, I am really happy. Okay, cool. I'm happy that the board isn't too busy. Good job, Chris. I'm glad it isn't too busy either. And so, well, that's pretty fun. This is the first time that someone I know actually won, which is exciting for me. So anyways, moving on. Enjoy the game, and we'll move on from there. So Meepleville Meets. This is a small little update. I had an interview with Meepleville Meets, Meepleville Board Game Cafe. They do a bunch of interviews. They're a lot of fun to watch. Some of my favorites include, Z. Garcia, Tom Vassell, Rodney Smith from Watch It Played. They also had Paula Deming. He's done a lot of interviews, and he just recently interviewed myself, and so go ahead and check that out. I'll have a link down below, hopefully if I remember to put it there, and you can go ahead and subscribe over there. Moving on from there, we have ISS Vanguard, and so we're going to go through all of the updates, and all is a relative term, which we'll explain later. But anyways, ISS Vanguard. So ISS Vanguard, for those who don't know, is Awaken Realms' latest campaign that is on Gamefound, not on Kickstarter. And most of you will already know this if you follow the channel, but some of you may not. And to that end, Awaken Realms currently owns Gamefound. They have separate management or whatever, but ultimately it's the same parent company. And Awaken Realms puts out a lot of big box campaign games, and Gamefound has historically been a pledge manager for those games, or for many games, and they offer it for free as basically a service for companies to use. They have recently started using it as a crowdfunding platform instead, and ISS Vanguard is their first project on that platform, and so it's a big deal for them. It's a big deal for the space in general, because I think they're going to bring a lot of innovation to the board game space in the way crowdfunding is run. As of right now, it's a smashing success with $3 million raised, 20,000 backers. We still have, right now when I'm doing this, 5 days left. When you're watching this, there's 2 days left to go, or 3 days left, or whatever it is, which means that we're well prepped for more growth, to see how it goes in terms of, it may well hit 25,000 backers. I wouldn't be surprised, and a lot of stuff going on here. And so overall, the short notes of everything is, in terms of Board Game Co., value stuff, whatever, this is an easy sell, that it's an easy back to get this game. It's not a question at all. Awaken Realms games historically have held their value, whether or not they get, a review from Shut Up and Sit Down, they still hold their value just fine, and this should be no exception. And we're not talking 5 years down the road where things will even out, but when you get this game, there will be people who are willing to pay a premium to get it if you find that it's not a good fit for you, regardless of what pledge level you get, regardless of whether you get sun dropped or not, and we'll cover all of that. But I just want to get that out of the way. I've already talked about this in my last video on Should You Back It, but it's an easy back. That's not the question as well. And Canadian shipping, by the way, has gone down a bit as well. So if you don't make it all the way to the end of the video where we covered in the update, Canadian shipping has improved, and so you are good to go there. Past that, the campaign has a lot of stuff, and we'll just start going through the updates. The overview of the game is ISS Vanguard is a narrative space exploration game. They've been in development for years by now. I don't know exactly how many years, but it's at least 2 years been teased or talked about. Probably longer than that. I don't know exactly how long. And the general idea is you are all crew members of the ISS Vanguard heading into space to figure out what's going on with the builders. There's DNA in our junk DNA. We found code to the universe. There's a whole story going on, and story is important. To me, ISS Vanguard, as of now, is currently my favorite narrative game that I have played from any of the narrative games I have played so far. I have not played Tainted Grail, for whatever that's worth. But from anything else, from Aetherfields, from Seventh Continent, so even Seventh Citadel, although Seventh Citadel I haven't fully explored, this is going to be my favorite narrative game so far. In terms of mechanically, it is mechanically fine. I don't think it is doing anything amazing based on my experience, but it does give me powers and upgrades and abilities galore, and we'll cover this in some of the updates as we go through it, but they're still looking into tweaking things. There are a lot of things that are interesting. The whole ship phase, something that people are scared off off by, I actually enjoy more than the rest of it, because you're going through all this stuff and upgrading and building new blueprints and building getting new crew members, new discoveries, new anything. You're constantly developing new equipment. You're unlocking things. You're researching things. You're upgrading your ship. You're getting new landers. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the ship phase that are a lot of fun to do. To me, this is about the narrative and the upgrading and powers and abilities, with the core game mechanics being the glue that holds it all together. Not bad, but also not particularly amazing for me personally. And again, keep in mind, we'll cover that in one of the updates, but they're still looking into and developing all of that. And with that, we'll just start going through the updates. I will be playing YouTube, audio, whatever, for some of these clips. I will have timestamps down below, so you can skip anything if you don't want those. Just skip to the next timestamp. But past that, day one we have, and I don't know, I'm down over here. Day one was a lot of stuff going on. We have the lone wolf the lone wolf scenario was introduced, and these scenarios are going to be something that you can do both as a standalone adventure, or they can be linked into your main campaign. So either way you are exploring the game. Your friend drops over, they want to get a feel for the game. Hey, just pop them into the lone wolf scenario and you can start playing with them, or any of these other scenarios. Or you can just fully play it as part of your full campaign as an offshoot or whatnot. So you can explore those both ways. There's going to be a few of these we've talked about. There's going to be a few of these throughout the updates, and likely more to come. The whole game funded in 3 minutes, which is obviously no brainer. I mean, $50,000 they could have put $300,000 and it would have been funded in 8 minutes instead of 3 minutes. This thing was completely knocked out of the park. That's what Awakened Realms and Gamefound and 2.5 years of hype will do to a game. Treat your backers well, give them games they like, and games that are well rated, by the way. Let's talk about that as well. Something I do want to focus on. And I did a recent video of our Kickstarter games worse than other games, and it covers, the idea that Kickstarter games really are incredibly well rated. They come with their own problem, their own fiddliness, their own issues, but they are incredibly well rated as a whole. And Awakened Realms is knocking out of the park as well, with Nemesis being the 26th highest game on Board Game Geek, Tainted Grail being 85, This War of Mine 148, and Lords of Hellas at 215. Those are all solid placeholders, and that is why this game funded so quickly. And so yeah, basically ISS Vanguard is an ambitious space exploration game they've been working on for a long time. They're going to be updating every 2 days. They have since adjusted that to every single day, which we've seen throughout most of the campaign, with exceptions like Christmas and New Year's. And over here, they have a Spotlight Close Encounter add-on. So this is going to be that the main game is broken down into the main game, as well as the Close Encounter add-on, which is all the extra miniatures that you absolutely don't need. Now, I'll talk about this more when we get to the Sundrop phase, but ultimately, if you're budget conscious, I do recommend skipping on the miniatures. I will be getting them, and I'll talk about it more when we get to the Sundrop phase, because that's when we get the full price tag, which is not a small amount. From there, we have the introducing operations. Operations are that thing that I call camp scenarios or whatnot, but operations are single self-contained ISS Vanguard missions that last for 2 to 3 hours. The Lone Wolf is the first of those, bringing you the idea that a single crew member, usually in ISS Vanguard, you need a minimum of two crew members per scenario. The Lone Wolf is going to be the first of them. I don't know if there's more of them, but it's going to be the first in which a single crew member is surviving on his own with minimal equipment, minimal anything. And with that, we'll play the audio.
Personal audio log, crew member number 4721. Day 1. If all the training and safety instructions they gave us on Vanguard were right, I'm pretty much dead. I've got half a tank of oxygen, 1 ration, an exploration suit I just patched up with duct tape, and 1 broken flashlight. Oh, and did I mention I am alone on an alien world, so dangerous that our away team had to scoot from here less than an hour after landing. If you ever hear this, thanks so much for leaving me, guys. To be fair, I realize you thought I couldn't have survived this fall. I was sure of that myself. I also realized you didn't want to risk your lives trying to find my body. Still, I did survive. I eventually crawled back to the surface just to see a takeoff crater where the lander was supposed to be. I can only hope someone up there on Vanguard will send another team looking for my remains. Though, considering how far the ship is, it'll take at least 2 weeks. Until then, I can only count on myself, and on a busted pet robot I will now attempt to repair. I'm thinking of calling him Mr. Wilson.
and that is going to be basically the first of the audio clips. And the reason I want to play that, and I'll playing 2 more of these as well, or maybe 3 more, I have to double check, but the reason I want to play that is because I have played through this campaign. I have played the prototype. There are videos, gameplay, myself, my own channel, Quackle's channel. We have a bunch of gameplay videos, we have a review, and I did find overall the audio to be fairly immersive. It falls into the category of an app that is completely not necessary, which so far are the main kind of apps that have worked for me in board games. I can play with my paper book or not, or I can pull up the app just to listen to the audio clips. There are a few times there's a little bit more going on in terms of linking things and memory and whatnot, and the app does introduce other things like randomization in terms of calculating the dice probability or whatnot, and those things are they're all fine, but because of the fact that you can play the game without the app entirely, that's the type of app I personally don't mind quite as much. But in any case, that's going to be the Lone Wolf scenario. Hopefully you enjoy that audio. It drives some feel. The voice acting is a little bit cheesy over the top, but ultimately I enjoy it. It's not so bad that it's good. It's not so bad that it's bad. It's decent. It's fine, and I've enjoyed it so far. And I believe in this scenario you have the pet standee, the little model highlight. This is a pet. This can either be I don't know if this is actually included in the base game or if it's included in the extra expansion, but either way, it's available for that. And then that's basically it. You're going to covers more of that, and that's update 1. And then they also mentioned the stretch goals. They're adding 10 new crew members to ISS Vanguard, and then finally they had a vote, which we won't focus on here because we'll just focus on the winners as we go through each update. Day 2, shipbook. So they talk about the shipbook, and they talk about the whole aspect of the resistance towards the shipbook. They talk about the shipbook phase should take 20 to 30 minutes max. In my opinion, based on my own experience, that number is optimistic at best, but the flip side is I didn't consider the shipbook to be maintenance. I consider the shipbook to be enjoyable fun and part of the game. I would say the shipbook to me was roughly 5 to 10 minutes of maintenance work that was tedious and annoying, and then about 35-40 minutes of enjoyable decision making, and oh no, we have a revolt on the ship, and the builders union is revolting, and we have a bunch of atheists coming, a whole bunch of stuff going on the ship that were a lot of fun to actually deal with in terms of gameplay choices. So I really enjoyed the shipbook, and to me the selling point isn't how short it is. To me the selling point is that it was an enjoyable part of the gameplay experience. Past that, they're still iterating, and they talk about this in a later update. They are still iterating towards a better experience as much as possible, still taking into account feedback, taking into account different aspects of gameplay. We'll cover more in that later update, but they talk. This whole update was meant to be a general idea of what went into the shipbook phase, why they went that way, what gameplay decisions they were making, and honestly, I get all of them. They are trying to solve the problem of being a unique, evolving system that is not a ton of maintenance to actually deal with and manage, and I think the shipbook is a solid method of doing it. I think they knocked it out of the park with this one, and I mean, like binders before them, like we've seen binder books like Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, or not Stuffed Fables, but the company Plaid Hat Games introduced these, flipping open books that you deal with. I think that's going to be a more common thing we see in games in general, and I think the shipbook might be something we see again in games as well. And that brings us to day 3, or update 3, or day 3, both of them, which is going to be the Tartarus update. The Tartarus is a giant, man-made structure, or something-made structure that is half the size of Earth and yet is man-made. And from there, we're going to go to the Operation Tartarus audio clip.
Planetary Mission Debriefing 48C. File classified. As you can see here, the diameter of each disk is approximately 5,000 miles, giving this megastructure a habitable area of roughly 19 million square miles, almost half the size of Earth. Short of Eye of the Void, we have not yet seen alien constructs of this scale. This one could support an entire civilization, though it seems it was deserted a very long time ago. Both disks were once covered with domes, most likely ensuring the correct pressurization and atmosphere. The dome of the top disk is broken, and there are no signs of attempted repairs. The bottom one is damaged, but still functional. Until we better understand its function, we do not want to approach it with landers or probes. The disks are connected with some sort of a gravity beam. What's interesting is the communication is one way only. We're noticing particle streams flowing from the top disk to the bottom one, but nothing ever comes up. Your mission will be to land on the top disk and survey the structures as well as the remaining parts of the dome. We need to understand who lived here, what happened to them, and, most importantly, what we can learn from their tech. This is a Code Orange mission, people. We can't rule out contact with automated defenses, and there's some worrying activity still going on in the bottom disk. The thick dome makes it difficult to gather data, but thermal imaging indicates something is still functional down there. So take care and stay safe. All necessary information was just uploaded to your terminals. The codename for the operation is Tartarus. Away team dismissed.
And that is going to be the Tartarus update or Tartarus audio file for, the other, I keep calling them scenarios, but they're called something else. I keep forgetting what they're called. But in any case, that's going to be the audio file. And from there, we have a little bit of a look into the shipbook as well as how it's handled in the app in terms of this. These are going to be these lines you're going to be slowly developing as you have a chance. You're going to have opportunities to draw different lines that are slowly going to lead to some sort of top secret uncovering or whatever. Like when I played throughout the game, I think I covered 2 of these lines, and that's basically it in my 8 hours. And so there's going to be a lot of stuff there. From there, we have, a little bit of an option, and again, we'll focus more on the vote, but we had a vote for various planet options that were available. I'll focus more on 1 because 1 was the one that won, and that's going to be the planet concept Mossy Inferno. Most of this planet is overgrown with a thick quilt of moss, troubled by raging flash fires resulting from an oxygen-saturated atmosphere. A whole new world hides inside this green inferno. Insects skitter between juicy leaves, fungi sap nutrients from the moss, and thin trees stick their crowns out to catch some light before the fire burns them. A lush verdant place that's also quite dangerous to explore. And moving on from there, we have day 5. You see now it's update 4, day 5. We skipped a day there. Character expansion. So this is going to introduce a whole bunch of character expansions. What they did is they introduced all the characters, basically introduced 30 new characters, bringing the total characters in the game up to 90. Additionally, they added in the first optional buy here, which is going to be an optional buy for the personnel files. This is going to introduce a level 4 to each character. Characters typically have a level 1, 2, and 3. This introduces a level 4 where they're going to change. The artwork's going to change. Basically, it's an upgrade for every single one of the characters. They are going to be trying to include this in Wave 1. No guarantee to that extent, so we'll see how that actually plays out, but that's basically it. That's going to be added personnel files. It's going to be for $16 added to the game. My own opinion is if you're looking at this versus, like, say, Sundrop, get this. I mean, to each their own, but the idea of having more depth to your characters, a little more attachment to their death, I mean, I like that idea. It's not that I want my characters to die. I just want to be sad when they do die, if they do die. Past that, the alien creature vote results were going to be these guys. These little adorable, adorable is the wrong word. This thing looks like a rodent. This rodent is the alien creature vote result that won, and something to do with selling them. They're going to be incredibly precious and selling them and black market around them. Either way, moving on from there, we have the mobile app special highlight. This is going to be a new operation as well, covering the mobile app, the different aspects of the voiceovers, text for other languages, the music around the game, and some of these things you're all seeing already in the voice apps already. This campaign save game tracking where you're up to, as well as a dice probability calculator. And that's going to be interesting to see how they develop, because keep in mind the game is still in development, which they cover in a big update later on. You can download that app right now for a feeling, for a taste of what it'll be like. I'm sure the end result will be different to some extent, but you can get a taste of it already on both iOS and Android. And then we had a vote for different operations, and I will focus on Eternal Sunshine because that's the one that won. Operation Proposal 1, Eternal Sunshine. ISS Vanguard discovers a large inhabited planet with a very slow rotation speed that makes days and nights last for an equivalent of Earth's moons. An advanced nomadic society lives on the planet, always on the move, on the back of plodding crustacean-like beasts. Their carapace is covered with solar panels and farms. The nomads of this world follow the sun and continuously stay on the light side of the globe to harvest their star's energy and grow crops. Vanguard's captain decides to send a diplomatic mission to the surface. As a show of goodwill, he also agrees to lend the away team and the lander in a rescue operation. One of the crawling townships mysteriously lagged and disappeared beyond the line of sundown. Unknowingly, your crew enters a complex political struggle that simmered between the nomadic clans for centuries. Gameplay highlight: a map divided with the sundown line into a dark and a bright half. Most sectors represent various wandering communities players move between. And that would be the operation that won that. Moving on from there, we have day 7, Cryptobiosis SG Spotlight, Stretch Goal Spotlight. There's going to be another campaign operation. That's the word. It's operation. And from there, let's go ahead and listen to that operation over here.
Captain, I will need an answer.
The answer is no, Doctor. This would be reckless, to say the least.
Captain Wayman, need I remind you how lucky we were to get to this planet shortly before it's blooming? It was like winning a lottery. This dormant ecosystem wakes up only once in a couple of centuries, and our preliminary studies indicate the process lasts less than a week. After that, this place will be a desert once again. If we leave now, the next people to have this chance will be our great-great-grandchildren.
I understand that, Doctor, And I do not intend to leave. We will send automated probes to gather data.
No, please, let me explain. Our recon probes are too slow and too limited. I need a specialized lab set up on the surface before the event begins. Captain, we almost took this place for another dead rock until my team found the pods and the spores. Studying this place could teach us a great deal about our galaxy's hidden, dormant life. I beg you, authorize a ground operation. I will lead it myself. Captain?
All right. You will have your operation, Doctor. Volunteers only. I want everyone in the away team well aware they will be in the middle of something we do not yet fully understand. And if I have even a shadow of a doubt our team is in danger, I'm pulling the plug.
Understood. Thank you, Captain.
I have a funny feeling I'm going to regret this one, Doctor. Please, prove me wrong.
And that is that. And so, moving on, we have a new stretch goals modular turrets. This is going to be a turret. They're adding turrets to the game. The idea of turrets that can be offensive, defensive, or whatever, that you can put in different spots that will affect the game state of the planet boards that you're moving around. And obviously, those will come in both standees as well as miniatures, depending on whether you get the Close Encounters expansion or not. That's going to be added to the game there. Past that, this is announcing the update of the Explorable Planet vote results, and then upcoming stretch goals, the Lone Wolf scenario, and just an update of what you have so far, and a teaser to the Lost Fleet, which you don't need to worry about because we're going to cover the Lost Fleet now. The Lost Fleet is the big, gigantic gameplay expansion that is basically anything you've been getting till now has been little drips and drips and drips, and the Lost Fleet is giving you a ton more content to this game. The Lost Fleet represents an entirely new, well, it seems to be an entirely new box. I don't know how that plays out. Sometimes Awakening shows boxes in their campaigns that don't end up being actual boxes, but it has a lot of content seemingly. It takes place 50 years after ISS Vanguard completed its mission. Earth is now in contact with several, different species. They have a lot more knowledge of the galaxy. They've been building 3 new starships, and you want to explore a different section of the galaxy, the outer arm of the galaxy that is yet to be explored. And so the ISS Vanguard, ISS Valiant are sent there together to deal this whole exploration, giving you effectively a full new galactopedia with 18 outer arm systems, 70 interesting places to visit, a new planet board of 36 pages full of new planets. Again, this is giving you, forget like a little, oh, here's a new planet in operation. They're just giving you a ton of new content for the game in this Lost Fleet expansion, Lost Fleet campaign. And the Lost Fleet campaign will be coming in Wave 2, I believe. I have to double check that, but it'll be coming all in Wave 2. And that is basically that huge update there. There'll be more coming soon. From there, we have the threats of the Lost Fleet. They cover the Lost Fleet across like 3 updates or so. Threats of the Lost Fleet are just covering, first of all, what ships in Wave 1 and ships in Wave 2. So here they cover what will be shipping in Wave 1 and Wave 2 for those asking. Nothing is set in stone. This is what they are aiming to do. So Wave 1 will be the core box, any operations for Wave 1. So far that's Lone Wolf and Tartarus, as well as Close Encounters, personnel files, hopefully, they're not guaranteeing it, and the crew member variety packs. Wave 2 will be the Lost Fleet stretch goal, any operations for Wave 2, which is going to be Cryptobiosis, as well as potentially others, the Almanac add-on, and more to come in the Wave 2 section. Doesn't say more to come in the Wave 1 section, so we'll see how that plays out. The Lost Fleet, the new threats. So they're giving you new threats. They're going to be new things to deal with on the board. These threat tokens that will either be standees or full-on miniatures, depending on whether you get the Close Encounters expansion, with all their, stuff going on with them, and that's it. That's basically what's going on in terms of the extras. Additionally, they're adding new dice to the game. There's going to be new potential dice, new knowledge potentially gained that you can deal with in some way, utilize. I like new dice. New dice means powers and abilities, and I'm always down for powers and abilities. There's going to be new skills and abilities. That is everything I'm after. I always want skills, abilities, crew members, all the stuff that make the game variable is what I'm interested in, and that's going to be that update. Moving on, we have a Sundrop Add On. So this is where we get the Sundrop Add On for the game, and that's going to vary. It's going to be a Sundrop, if you don't know already, is the idea of basically pre-shading your models so they look prettier on the table in case you don't want to paint them or shade them yourself. If you have shading capabilities, you can do it yourself. Honestly, I have shading capabilities. I have the tools to shade them, and I consider Sundrop a faster, just better use of my time than shading them myself. I know people say you can shade a mini in like a short amount of time. The process takes a while once you have to deal with spraying. I mean, maybe if you're professional, if you do it a lot, it's a different story. For me, it takes long enough that I'd rather pay the money to get them. As far as the options over here, your options are $11 for the core box Sundrop add-on, or $59 to get your Close Encounter stuff added. Now, this is where we talk about the fact that the game is already going to be expensive enough for the game. Meaning you're basically talking about either $99 for the core box. Let me see where we are the pledge levels here. It's either $99 for the core box or something else for the Sundrop. Where are the pledge levels? I had them here before. somewhere here. They're somewhere, definitely somewhere. Or $179, basically another $80 to get the Close Encounters expansion. Which means if you want that all sun-dropped, then you're talking about $140 to get your Close Encounters sun-dropped. That is multiple games worth of stuff. Now, to be very clear, two things are true. One, I'm getting that. I go all in on games. I have, over time, over my gaming years or whatever, I have grown to appreciate deluxifying things as opposed to getting more stuff. And so I'm all in on this game. But that's $140 for what is effectively not that useful. For myself, I can justify it because it'll hold its value if or when I want to sell it, and it will add to the game and the experience until then. They'll be pretty, I'll enjoy them, I will like it. Will it be on the table all that much? Not all that much. You can use placeholder minis for most of what you need over there. You can honestly pull out your box of ether fields, use those. It doesn't really matter all that much. And so both things are true. This is a great area to save money and not get this stuff. Also, I'm getting it. To each their own. You can get it with or without Sundrop. You can get it with not at all. I mean, it's a hard life we live in terms of, these are first world problems. Whether choosing what to spend $140 on a bunch of miniatures is definitely a first world problem. Bringing us to day 13, the last of the Lost Fleet. This is going to bring us to the ISS Vanguard, the Lost Fleet upgraded shipbook. So this is the first time they really touched upon the idea, or they may have touched upon it briefly, I may have missed it, but they touched upon the idea that that shipbook will be upgradable and changeable. They have the ability to effectively, similar to a legacy game, they have the ability to kind of just say, boom, here's a sticker full of rules, except it's not a sticker, it's going to be inserted into your shipbook. And so you get a new ways, new tweaks, new adjustments. They want that shipbook to be ever breathing, to keep that mystery alive, so that it's evolving as you play the game. And I like the idea of that. I like the idea of something that changes as we play so that it constantly remains interesting. There's a reason I have powered through again and again 20 games of Pandemic Legacy or whatever legacy game I'm playing versus other games I don't power through 20 games, because when you keep things fresh and you constantly add to it, it incentivizes me to keep going back to it. Past that, new projects, new technologies, new discoveries. Again, this goes back to the more. This is all stuff in the Lost Fleet, just showing you. Again, there's that box, may or may not be an actual box, but tons and tons of more stuff, and it will use components from the base game. So here's your notice to, if you're assuming you're getting it in two-wave shipping, which you should get in two-wave shipping if you want to play the game a year and a half before otherwise, don't get rid of your core box, because you need the core box to continue playing the game. Past that, here's a full summary of what you're getting in that Lost Fleet expansion, as well as 3 new planets, which I don't think they've announced the winner for this. They may have announced the winner, I don't remember, but 3 new planets. Ice Ring, which is going to be a bunch of ice rings that you can jump around between, an Idimene World Fleet board, which is some sort of space battle that your land is going to be jumping around frequently, and In the Belly of the Beast, where you will be in actually the belly of a beast for this whole planet board. And those are 3 potential planet boards, as well as a tease to the upcoming stretch goal of the Pilgrimage. And then this is where they announced that they are lowering Canadian shipping by $8, which is not necessarily as much as you might like, but it's something in case you were hoping for whatever. Moving on, we have Dev Diary improving the core mechanics. So this is where they talk a lot about the mechanics. This is going to be a big update to a degree. The basic idea of everything they're saying here is this is still a prototype. It's very much a prototype. They're taking into account all feedback from playtesters, people who played the game like myself, reviewers or whatever, people who, anyone in any way, or even people who, like yourselves, haven't played the game but have seen the game and offered opinions in the comments, preferably respectful opinions. But they are taking that all into account. They are trying to make the game as engaging and interesting as possible while being open to changing mechanics that may not be fun either in their own moment or may not be fun over 8 hours of play. They're trying to do all of that in this game. And so they talk about the dice rolls and what they're looking into, make more fail-forward mechanics in terms of less just general failing, giving people potentially more reason to choose between rolling more dice or not, doing things like looking at the dice pool to see which colors of dice have been utilized over there and referencing them, potentially locking in dice to power equipment. They're trying to make the dice more variable in what they can do and the strategic promise they offer. Additionally, landers, loads, and supplies. This was an update where I found out that apparently Jesse and I have been playing it wrong, because we didn't realize that the equipment have a weight. Each level of equipment has a weight assigned to it, and so we took more equipment than we were allowed to on the mission. We failed anyway, so it's not like it mattered, but anyways, the point is that they are adjusting some of this to be more intuitive, because apparently most people made the same mistake. This is something that most people did not realize, and they're slightly changing the whole cargo aspect of the lander, load, and supplies. Additionally, they're making some changes to the threat mechanics. I'll admit we didn't engage with the threats, so I don't have enough full knowledge of this part of the game because I haven't played it yet. I haven't experienced this part of the game, so I don't know enough about the changes there. And then the leads, they're changing the leads, which I think is a good move as well. Leads are this idea of you can build up to discovery through gathering leads. And in the game, they handle it through cards, but ultimately, the cards have like small, interesting text or changes, but they're interesting the first time you play through them, similar to Etherfields. I think they're looking at Etherfields and taking that feedback into account about the slumbers and whatnot. The leads fall into the category of being repetitive gameplay stuff that if you're engaging with it a lot, It's just tedious work as opposed to anything interesting. Now, I will note, I didn't think of it in my negative feedback of the game when trying to be critical of what I didn't like. I didn't really think of the leads. That being said, reading their update, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. They are removing a tedious part of the game that does not add a lot of value and adjusting it to be just token-based so it's simpler and easier to engage with. And I'm happy they're looking out for stuff like that. I'm happy that they're looking for ways to get rid of tedious extra things and to improve the gameplay as much as possible. I'm optimistic that I will like the final game. We'll see how it actually plays out, but I'm pretty optimistic because as long as they don't make it worse, I already do like the game and I'm a fan of it already. And that is basically going to be that. And finally, the next update is going to be the pilgrimage whatever, which is going to be over here. We have this is going to be the 4th operation, pilgrimage, and we'll go ahead and listen to that audio file now.
Vanguard! Vanguard, come in, Vanguard!
We read you, away team.
Is there a xenologist on the bridge? We need help!
It's Dr. Corey. What have you got?
We found a wounded life form, a humanoid, intelligent judging from the clothes and tools. We've chased away something that was feeding on her. She seems to be dying.
How do you know it's a she? Do not assume anything. Make sure you're sealed and protected. Then inspect the damage.
Yeah, we're suited up. Turning her over now.
Goddamn. You see that?
It's all wrong, Doctor. This humanoid, the morphology is roughly human, but the internal organs, I've never seen anything like that.
Is it leaking?
What?
Is the creature leaking any fluids? Do you see any obvious damage? Stop the leaking. That's always a good place to start.
All right, we're compressing the wound. What now?
Give me a video feed. We'll figure something out.
And that is going to be that. And then from there we have these inevitable death stalker models, which their goal is to hunt you down, toy with you like cat and mouse games, and slowly make you lose your desire to live so that you give up and submit to your death. Whoever programmed these things, they're messed up. You programming a robot to hunt and kill, I get. Programming a robot to make you lose your will to live is a bit of an interesting, different choice, but hey, we all have our hobbies. Mine's just board games. Theirs is programming death robots that make you lose your desire to live. To each their own. And then from there we have the community vote on the unusual alien, which also has not been decided, but for me, 6 is an easy choice. I mean, look at these things. Look at the various, we have planform, some sort of other planform. This one's a little interesting. And then these 2 are my favorites, but 6 more so. I mean, this is a plant that's walking. How can you not vote for that? And the problem is me trying to convince you is a waste of time, because by the time you watch this, it's already probably too late. And from there we get to the part where, unfortunately, I am filming this on Friday because I'm out of town for the weekend, which means when you see this, you're going to see more information that I don't have yet. You're going to see this Day 17 secret envelope, because for me, there's 5 days left of the campaign. For you, there's 2 or 3 days left, depending on when you see this, and so that means you're going to see both Saturday's update and Sunday's update with more information, more stuff that I have not been able to cover. Potentially an all-in pledge unlock, potentially another, if I had to make a guess, I would say one more paid add-on, followed by an add-on, followed by an all-in pledge, are what we're likely to see next. I will pin whatever they have in the comments to this video, so just check the pinned comments and or the description for more information there. Past that, that's everything. That's ISS Vanguard. That's everything that's going on in the game. It is a lot of stuff. That Lost Fleet expansion, to me, makes this an easy back, giving you, basically, it's typical of Awakened Realms. They give you a ton of content, a ton of reason to get this game now instead of retail. If you want me to focus heavily on both reasons why you should or shouldn't back it, check out my Should You Back It video for ISS Vanguard. This is more focused on just giving you updates on all the stuff they have talked about, all the additions, all the whatevers, and all the whatevers. And until next time, oh, and one more thing, if you missed it already, Sunday I did a video with Jesse Quackalope. We did a live stream together where we did talk about ISS Vanguard. Again, keep in mind, that is in my future and your past, so it probably happened, but maybe not. Who really knows? But you can check out that if you want to see a bunch of Q&As about people asking us questions about the campaign. Well, just check that out, assuming it actually exists. And as always, and until next time, have a good one.